In 2002, Timor-Leste threw off the shackles of Indonesian occupation and became an independent nation. 7 years later, Asia's youngest nation created arguably the most exciting mountain bike race ever. Initiated by former President of the Republic, Dr. Jose Ramos Horta, as part of his peace campaign, it was an event that caught the imagination. With 300 competitors from 12 countries and the largest level of Timorese participation in any event in the young country's history, the inaugural race became the focus of attention that would showcase the people and beauty of Timor-Leste. Forward to 2011, the third edition with over 400 riders and 600 plus kilometers promised more drama and plenty of action. This is Timor-Leste, this is the Tour de Timor.
Welcome to Tour de Timor-Leste 2011. This year will be even more challenging, interesting, welcoming than the previous years, than 2010 and 2009, which many of you took part in and consider to be a great success. The beauty of the country, the warmth, the friendliness of the people, and above all, besides the physical endurance, the challenge, you made contacts, you made friendship, and you contributed with your participation, your presence from so many countries with East Timorese to realizing our dream of building a city of peace. Tour de Timor is part of the larger effort to promote peace in this country, part of the effort called Dili City of Peace. And slowly, gradually, we are realizing this dream to turn this country, this island, into an island of peace. This year, we have new participants from a well-known world champion American rider, Tinker Juarez, to many from Indonesia, 20 participants for the first time, joining the many others from Australia, New Zealand, Malaysia, Singapore, and from so many countries who in the last 2 years have given us the pleasure, the honor of having their company, their participation in Tour de Timor. Welcome to Tour de Timor 2011.
9 September 2011 and the bulk of international riders have arrived in Dili, the capital city of Timor-Leste, and one of the organisers, Melanie Horn, along with her young local colleagues, is tasked to handle the arrival, many of whom have never set foot into the country.
Yeah, I've never done a multi-day tour before, so yeah, I'm just really excited. Done plenty of mountain bike racing, but only one day. So.
But it was all work and no play for Mel.
Everybody, first up is going to do the visa process. I need this form completed, and your passport. Please keep your boarding pass with you. I just want that passport.
However, defending individual champion Adrian Jackson of Australia has kept a low profile ahead of the impending race amongst the arriving passengers. Back at the Timor Lodge, the temporary headquarters of the event, a few of the elite riders have begun their preparations, and amongst them Tinker Juarez, a renowned rider from the US who is considered one of the favourites to win the Tour de Timor.
I think the first day is going to be a good test for me because I know I'm still going to be, kind of iffy about how I'm feeling. But if I could really, hang on, because the Aussies are, they're not, they have any time change or anything like that. So they already have a big advantage over me. So my main thing is trying not to lose too much time the first day, because it's just going to be an uphill battle from there.
Also in the fray are the Indonesian riders who are participating in the event for the first time. In spite of the strained past between the two countries, the local riders have warmed up to the Indonesians. Amongst the local greetings, their newest guest, top female rider Francelina Cabral, fondly known as Anche. Ahmad Yani believes it to be a humbling experience to be one of the first of his country to participate in the tour.
Pengen tahu aja Timor-Leste itu gimana gitu. Sampai sana ternyata memang sangat mengesankan gitu, bekas yang pernah dipunyai Indonesia gitu. Yang datang itu peserta-peserta dari pernah ikut di kejuaraan dunia semua, pada datang semua di situ. Jadi untuk masuk 10 besar pun kayaknya untung-untungan lah.
Meanwhile, back at the airport, Melanie still has her hands full as a stream of riders and international volunteers demand her constant attention.
I was told your flight wasn't coming in until later, and we heard it flying over. So we've done a mad rush. So welcome to everybody. My name's Melanie.
It is one day before the race and the riders have flocked into the Timor-Leste hotel for their registration and briefing. Several hundred volunteers have also been mobilized to handle the masses, and whilst there seemed to be chaos all around, the registration goes on smoothly.
Anyway,
Which number do you have?
111.
But 666.
And my weight is 66.6. So I might have a good race or a bad race.
I think you might have a good race. I think that means a good race.
Does it? Luck is on my side.
Luck is on your side.
today.
1 and 6, 7. Lucky 7.
Former President Jose Ramos Horta arrives and dispenses some advice to some riders, which includes 2009 individual winner Paul van der Ploeg of Australia. The subject, crocodiles.
Their main menu is dogs, pigs.
Race director Mark Berens begins his briefing to all the riders, and the mood expectedly is somber.
And if there is an emergency, you can then call emergencies. You can utilise all the press that is on the course. We've actually briefed all the press, all our water station monitors, and everybody else as well, to render assistance to our fellow riders.
But Crocs is still a concern for this topic of conversation.
The cannibals, they prefer Indians, Chinese, Indonesian, because Australians, Europeans are too bland. Mostly eat like bread, cheese.
11th September, stage 1 of the Tour de Timor. The first day will begin from Dili and wound its way through 110 kilometers of terrain to the end of stage 1 in the mountains of Lakluba. 6 o'clock in the morning and Timor-Leste is abuzz with activity, with riders looking to fill their stomachs ahead of a grueling start.
Morning, how are you?
Everybody ready to go?
Pumped. Yeah, really excited.
Have you guys been here on Tour de Timor before?
No, 7 months of training starts today.
Right now, what's happened is we've got the forward convoy en route, heading out to location. Riders behind us are stocking up on food. The race is about to go underway. We're looking at an 8 o'clock start. Everyone's really pumped. Tour de Timor 2011.
Viva Tour de Timor.
Yeah.
Dame, hahu,
husi hao.
There's plenty of enthusiasm on display ahead of the race, and already there are some pumped up for the ride.
Don't worry, be happy.
Most riders have already made their way to the starting line at the Presidential Palace. Some have taken the opportunity to pose with the president, some are decked creatively, while others may be too young to compete.
So, do you think you're going to win this one?
I'm gonna get 4 turkeys.
The local crowd has gathered from the wee hours of the morning, creating a carnival feel to the whole place. With the forward convoy already ahead more than an hour, the race for the riders is about to begin. The front line is filled with the potential elite competitors from Malaysia, 2 elite teams from Australia, including Neil van der Ploeg and Adrian Jackson, Tinker Juarez, and a few top Timorese riders, the Da Costa brothers, Jacinto Orlando, amongst them. few last words from the president, and the race begins. However, as the peloton rides its way through the city of Delhi, Indonesian rider Ahmad Yani decides to go on his own. The peloton, however, eventually catches up with him as he is engulfed back into the fold. But as they head towards the mountain road near Hera, disaster strikes. Fortunately, dog and rider were not seriously hurt. As the race moved towards Manatutu, two riders, 2009 winner Neil van der Plug and Sean Hurley, makes a break at the first water station. Not to be outdone by them, legendary rider Tinker Juarez joins them in front, with the peloton only minutes behind. The scenery around Timor-Leste is breathtaking, and for some riders, this was all they could take in, as one by one the number of casualties rose. The source? Punctured tyres.
Over. Day one.
And tiredness was beginning to creep at unexpected moments. Despite the fall, he manages to continue his race. But for others, they were just happy to get some refreshments.
G'day.
Hey, how do you feel? How do you feel?
So far so good, but hey, what, we're 5% through the race, so
Yeah.
early days, but pretty good. Beautiful scenery, beautiful people.
The finish line at Lakluba and the Ford convoy has arrived in the small mountain town, which is eagerly awaiting the arrival of the riders. Timing coordinator Russell and his team sets up the equipment as the finishing touches are made. The president choppers in to the delight of the local community and is greeted with enthusiasm by the local crowd. This is familiar territory for Ramos Horta, who has a soft spot for the small mountain village.
Lakluba is very isolated forever. I was there as a child, been back there many times since, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years later, and still standing still in history, in time, not much happening there.
Yet for the community, it was a chance to meet the man who helped bring peace and stability to their country. Back to the race, and along the midpoint of stage one, the three top breakaway riders have set up a steady pace ahead. But the peloton was not too far behind and kept pace with the front runners. Not that it concerned Neil very much.
Don't worry. Be happy.
Along the route, crowds have gathered in the smaller villages, mostly at the water stations, to cheer on the oncoming riders. And the international volunteers were soaking in the atmosphere as well.
There's been lots of cheering and lots of kids coming to help unpack the water bottles for us, and we're just waiting for more riders to come through to cheer them on. Any drama so far? No, never drama in East Timor. No worries, no worries.
And the excitement was more evident with each glimpse of local riders passing through the excited crowd.
Come on, Timor! Yoda!
Yet, as they head towards the mountain, it was evident that the toll was beginning to tell on some of the riders. Even some riders preferred to walk up with their bikes. Up in front, Tinker had taken matters in his own hands, securing the King of the Mountain stage, but was followed by the chasing pack with defending champion Adrian Jackson lurking. Lakluba is situated approximately 2,000 meters above the sea, and the thinning air and cold weather has broken up the masses, and this is where the men are separated from the boys. But some roses amongst the thorns were not ones to give up on the ride as they bunched up with the men. One of the local riders, Jacinto da Costa, who has trained 3 months in these conditions, proves his mettle by leading this bunch. As the uphill climb pressed its way nearer Lakluba, AJ decides to make his move. Following him not far behind were two teammates, Luke Fetch and Paul van der Plug, who had saved their energy for this very moment. Back in Lakluba, and the Sunday market was swelling as the whispers of the impending arrival of the riders were spread around. And sure enough, AJ, the winner of 2010, begins his campaign with the first stage win of the tour, crossing the line in 4 hours, 12 minutes and 59 seconds.
Me and Ben Mather, who I'm sort of working with here, just starting the main group, tried to encourage as many people just to, roll through turns as we could, and it worked really well. The front breakaway probably only ever got a few minutes ahead of us, and they were working a lot harder than we were back in the bunch. So when we hit the climb, all of us who had been sitting back were a lot fresher, and that's probably what won it in the end. Sort of being fresh when you hit the climb.
What was more amazing was that he was almost 5 minutes ahead of second place rider Paul van der Plug and teammate Luke Fetch a minute behind him.
Well, it started off nice and calm, and my brother got in the early break, and that meant that we didn't have to work too much in the flat section, so I was just trying to conserve energy because I knew there was a climb coming. But I think it would have been hard to prepare for the heat and the steepness of the climb, so yeah, I was hurting a fair bit towards the top.
And coming from a World Championship course in Europe, it was certainly an eye-opener for Paul.
Yeah, I'd say definitely. Like it's completely different to cross-country racing. Like I can't remember the last time I've been on the bike for 4 hours straight at threshold. So it's a totally different world over here.
Coming in at 4 hours, 19 minutes and 21 seconds was Tinker Juarez. Not bad for a man at the ripe old age of 51.
It was good. It was hard. It was really hard. Yeah, I didn't know what to expect, so now I know what to expect. So it was a good lesson today, and there's a lot of days left. Long. It's going to be difficult. So at least I'm glad that I did better than I was expecting today. So it was good.
Finishing in 12th place was Malaysian rider Muhammad Fazan Lutfi, who found the course tough.
Saya memang teruk juga kan. Saya pun baru switch dari road ke mountain bike, mungkin pengalaman yang pertama untuk saya kan.
Pessa Mullins, the first female over the line in 21st place, took everything in her stride despite the struggles up the mountain.
I didn't think I could climb any higher.
Whilst the other female riders had their own stories to tell on the first day on the course.
And then I felt like I was doing okay, and then I finished, so I was pretty happy about that. And thanks to Mel. Mel helped me up the climb. It was awesome. It was like, we were just talking we were like so happy. I'm like, we must be nearly there. I know. And she's like, I was like, I'm most optimistic person in the world. Blah, 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 blah.
The biggest cheer, though, came when local heroes, the Da Costa brothers Jacinto and Orlando, arrived in Lakluba. Some finished in style, whilst others were just happy to have finished. However, many were still out on the route, and those who were not caught by the sag wagon took 8 hours to complete the stage. By the time the winners' ceremony was held, there were still riders making their way to the finish line. Those who already set up their campsite were happy, and as the night wore on, the medical crew had their work cut out for them. Morning has broken in the peaceful mountains of Lakluba. But the drama in stage 2 was about to unfold. In the next episode of the Tour de Timor, disaster strikes Adrian Jackson, whilst the number of casualties mount on stage 2 to Biasu.
Yesterday was a puncher and I ran the last 4K. And then today, so it's not happening.